Hi, this is Matt, and today we're going to talk a little bit about our work on the 3D printed masks. I'm on version 4 of my mask now that I will link to in the comments below. A reminder, this is a open source mask that we have derived from the Copper 3D from Chile, and we were inspired by some of the work done by Jeremy Simon from 3D Universe, and you can find that at shop3duniverse.com. They also have some other pointers and tips, including the face shields that can be 3D printed. And now we're going to move over to Stephanie. Stephanie's going to show how she does some thermoforming to help go from a 2D mask to a 3D mask.
Hey guys, a few of you have been asking how to thermofit the masks. We've been kind of troubleshooting a lot of the thermofitting as well as the 3D process, and what we've determined is when at all possible the mask should be shipped to the healthcare worker flat. So like they come off your printer with your pieces here, there's one of the filters and the caps. This is off of the 3D Universe design with the dual filter. Actually, I have it upside down here. But when at all possible, they should be fitted to the person's face. While we've been working with this, my husband and I have very different sized faces, and so it will not make a good seal if you're trying to fit these. And you also have to go through a lot of practice runs before you get it right, and this will eliminate that process. Nurses can be shown how to do their own masks relatively easily. So we're just going to talk a little bit about at least what we've come up with as some of the best practices for this process. So if you'll see, this is a completed mask. My husband came up with a great idea for tension rods, and this is made out of something you can easily get at either the craft store or the hardware store, this tubing, and he'll talk more about that in just a minute. But the reverse tension allows you to tighten it, and then it is also able to be soaked in an alcohol bath or whatever the healthcare provider is going to be using. So it eliminates the unnecessary possible pathogen spread. So I'm going to just show you here. So this is one that we've outfitted that fits me pretty well. So as you can see, this is one that's completely finished. So it has the dual filters that I'll show you how to create later in place as well. It's pretty fitted. You can see I could have probably done a little better around the chin, and that can be remedied with some foam weather stripping. So these little tension rods, let me see if I can get them on here. It was fitted to my husband a minute ago. You just pull them, and then that'll help keep it as tight as you want it. And it offers pretty good, I feel like, breathability. I know several of the nurses wanted to use them over their surgical masks for added protection, but it makes a pretty good seal. It's pretty good in breathability. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how we thermofit them. So I actually have the little crafting tool that looks like a hair dryer first, and I do really recommend that, but I gave it to a friend who is a nurse who is going to be thermofitting these, and so she's using that. I borrowed this from a friend. This one is much hotter, so you have to be really careful. You can't leave this tool, you can't apply the heat for very long in one spot, or you will bubble it, you will burst through the barrier. So you have to be really careful when applying this tool. That will soften the mask pretty quickly and allow for you to form it where we want it, to get nice tight seals, which we'll show you. And then you will also need a soldering iron. We've used a couple different soldering irons. The one I feel like makes the best and easiest fit is this triangular soldering iron that I'm about to use, but it is not temperature controlled. So that means that you're going to have to be very careful and use it as it's heating up to kind of tell how hot it's getting, and then you're probably going to need to unplug it. So you're going to have to play with it and be very careful, but the shape is best for sealing these. to make sure that there's no, like, it's very easy to get a little hole right here if you're not careful, which allows pathogens inside of the mask. So you're going to want to make sure that you've sealed it really well without burning a hole through your mask. So the first step that I'm going to show you is heating it with the I like to do the bottom of the mask first, get my jaw fitted first, and then the forehead, but I'm sure either one is fine. So I'm gonna thermofit this mask to my face. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna see if you can see this here. You probably can't, so we have another camera on this as well. But I'm gonna do the central part of the mask along with just right here at the seam. It's pretty easy with this one, it's very hot, to get the whole thing as it starts to bend. You can apply it closer to your face as it starts to cool. You don't want to burn yourself, obviously, so as you are approaching your face, make sure that you have let it cool appropriately without letting it harden. If you make a mistake, it's okay, as long as you don't burn a hole in it. You can just relax the filament again and refit. So I'm going to start now. As you're doing it, you'll start to notice, if you've done it enough, a little bit of a shine in the places that's happening right now that it's soft. So see, it's starting to bend. You're noticing a color change a little. Okay, as it's starting to bend, you want to keep a little bit of an arc because that's how it's going to probably fit on your face. Okay, so it's getting pretty soft. Okay, so I'm gonna try to kind of get a little bit of an arc. And like I said, the most important part to this is making sure that your nostril piece, as you do it, does not have any hole. Okay, you can still fill it with some extra PLA, but preferably you don't want any holes. Okay, so I'm gonna stand up a little to do this part. I like to get a little bit of a crease going just right at first so that I make sure that I have a little bit of a seal there. And then I'm going to add some more heat and start to go to the rest of the face shape. Okay. So as I get the rest of this face shape, I'm going to put it on my own face and start to see how far up the chin pad needs to be. So see, I have the shape of my face, and we can adjust this a little bit in the end, but I have at least the basic shape. So as I'm doing this, I want to hold the edges where I'm feeling like I'm getting a pretty good seal. And that's how far up we'll know to begin our soldering process. So for me, it's pretty high, I'm pretty short, so it's going to cover the tiniest bit of the bottom of this filter. And I'm going to soften it and keep a good shape. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to plug in my soldering tool again because I don't have a temperature controlled soldering tool. It's going to take just a second to heat up. This is where we want to use a little bit of this extra bump that's here as we press it down, just to make sure that that little nostril hole is going to be filled. So we're just waiting for this to heat up, and I just move it because then I can kind of tell. It's taking a second, but then I can kind of tell how far up I need it to go. So I can feel that it's heating, I can see some shine going, but it's not ready yet. And this tool will pass very quickly into too hot, and it will burn the PLA. And the reason we're doing this outside is I think PLA is just a corn product, but I don't know what else is in it. And when I was noticing the smoking inside in my husband's lab, then I don't know what I was breathing in. So I said, let's just do this outside. A little bit to heat seal, but I can feel it heating up now. Remember that a lot of these can get up to 450 degrees or something, so just because it looks like it's not hot doesn't mean it's not hot. This is the shape I like the best. These little pointy shaped ones will work. The little pointy shaped ones will work, but they are not as tidy. They don't make as nice of a little seal. I mean, they're perfectly fine, but then you'll see kind of that grunge on the inside that makes you think that it's not as professional looking. Not that that should be our concern right now. Okay, so this little triangular one's getting nice and warm. So now I'm just gonna use it a little bit like a painter trowel or something like that. It's getting plenty hot. You have to be careful that you're not burning too much of your filters. And as I said before, you actually I think I forgot to say that you need to shape your mask with the caps and filters, with the PLA filters in place. And the reason for that is that you will warp your screw mechanism if you don't get them in place, okay? And so you want to get as best as you can close right here to the seal on the other side. That'll just add a little, layer of safety, making sure nothing's coming through. And if you want to work with it a little longer, you can make it prettier, but basically this gets us a really good seal, and this shape allows us to trowel. Okay, so you can kind of see, I want to show you, as we're forming this shape, which we'll do a little more with the heat tool, that we have a pretty good seal right there. We can press a little farther in there just to make sure, but we have a pretty good seal. So I'm going to thermofit this and loosen the other side a little. And there we go, so it's nice and loose. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it the same. You can see that it's melting. Even this heat tool, this heat dryer is melting it. Okay, and we don't want it to melt too much because we want to get this nice seal right across the nostril and into the corner. So you can see if you turn to the outside that I don't quite have it. There we go. We want to make sure we get it. You can use a hair dryer as well to soften it, and probably is better if your heat gun is as hot as this one is. This is a little bit much. And I'm going to unplug, I think we'll see how it goes, but I may unplug this soldering mechanism because I think we're now getting too hot, but we'll just see. Okay, so we are getting a little bit hot. You can see us troweling it. My husband has one that's temperature controlled. If you want to do about 250 to 300 would be optimal if you have a temperature controlled iron. You want to get close to this edge without going through. Okay. But I'm getting a little hot, so I don't want to get too close to the nasal part right now. Okay, so I'm going to unplug that for a second. Okay, as you can see, we have a pretty good seal all in there. If you want to go on the outside with your mechanism, you can also, but this is a pretty good seal right here. You can also take some of these flaps and trim them with scissors and put them here and melt them down in there if you want to, okay? So, it's still kind of hot. I'll put it on your face right after soldering.